Hello everybody out there on YouTube, it is I, James, once again, and I have another very interesting video for you. So a little while ago I got into these things called powertrains. Now I never actually bought one until today, but I really got into the idea of them. They seemed like a cool little alternative to N-scale because they were cheap and they were somewhat the same size. Or at least I first thought. So anyway, I went and bought 3 different items today. I bought a locomotive, a freight car pack, and then a set. Now the set that's currently in front of you is the construction engine pack. However, I have gone and redone part of it because I wanted it to look more like a Union Pacific train. Now as you can see, this is the construction locomotive, and yes, this is the same yellow and black locomotive that you can get on the market today for the Powertrains 2.0 train sets. As you can see, my handrail broke off and I just have not been able to find it yet. I will probably find one and glue it back on, or just leave it like that, I don't know. But when I first saw the train, I thought, you know, that looks a lot like Union Pacific colors. So I actually went and hand painted the engine up, and as you can see, I gave it the gray top, the striped line, and then also I gave it the green hood. This is to serve 2 purposes. One, this is to actually reduce sun refraction into the windows so that the driver can see, and also the Union Pacific has always had a little splash of green in their main paint schemes. Also, it's kind of cool because up here it looks like it has a beacon light when it doesn't. That's just to activate the locomotive, and also the track just ran out from under it. Anyway, so got that sorted out. But yes, the engine is actually in 2 different pieces. You have the top piece, which is the shell, which is literally just this part, and then the bottom part is where the motor is, and it takes 2 AAA batteries, as you can see, and it only has 1 powered driving wheel, which is over here in the back. I will see if I can zoom in on it and focus on it, see if it will, yeah. There you go. Makes quite a lot of noise. Also, it has a headlight, and I shall demonstrate that now. Yeah, I know it's kind of weird because you can still see the hazard stripes that were once on the front of the locomotive that have now been painted over. And of course, I didn't want these trains to look clean. I mean, I thought it would kind of be cool to have, like, you know, oh look, a pristine Union Pacific engine. But that's not the way they are in real life. They're quite battered and dirty. So I went and did some weathering, especially around where the dynamic brake blisters are, and then also where the exhaust vents are for the diesel engine, as you can see right there. And also, just a little word of advice here: be careful with the handrails. They are made out of a thin, plasticky rubber, and these can break quite easily if you act like a bloody caveman with them. So anyway, and also I did weather the couplings. Of course, here's the other car. This is the gondola. As you can see, weathered it on this side. It looks more or less the same on the other side, except on this side you've got a big old gray blotch. Also, the number is more legible on this side, and all that. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, the couplings on these trains have a little bit of slack to them, just like in real life, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, then of course on to the last car, which is this big crane car. And yes, if you raise this up, you can raise the boom up and you can turn it like so. Of course, there's the other side of it. Just turn it back around and like that. And I did weather the top of it. I just made it look more dirty. And you'll be surprised that when you do this, a lot more details actually end up popping out that are, you don't usually see half of these details when you get the train unless you paint it. But you can see all the little rivets and stuff on the top, which looks really cool. And you can actually see the individual little fan blades and the fan. I did actually paint the letters UP on the back, and then of course it says UP up right here at the front. 86, 89, and all that. There's the front of the engine. You can even see the marker boards on the front of the engine, and the horn is there, it's just not painted very well. My bad. Of course you got the wheels, and yes, I did try to weather them. I feel that on this side I got the weathering right because I made everything look more gray, but on this side everything looks just kind of white on this side. But in real life, like on camera, this looks like white, but it's not. It's actually more a very dark ghost gray. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't paint the underside all the way, and that's because right here you've got this tab and these two tabs right here, which actually tab into the track like that when you put it on. And if it goes onto the little stopping piece, it's this little bar. It functions the same way as a Tomy stop bar from Thomas and Friends. It's just miniaturized. In fact, it even has the little grooves on there. And as you can see, you can just click that down like that, and then click it back up, then click it back down, click it back up, and you can stop and start the train all you want all the live long day. Speaking of, the track does remind me a lot of Tommy track, or Tomy, if people remember that, back before Mattel took over Thomas and Friends, because they were the ones that actually were doing the toys. The early hit era toys were made by Mattel. They were just reskins of the existing Tomy trains, just with less painted details, or just outright completely different altogether. But the front of the tracks had this end, and then they also had this little end right here, and you could flip the tracks over, which you can do on this one, if I can just take that. You could flip it over, and then boom, you still have track. You don't have to worry about, oh no, I don't have this specific type of track. No, you can just flip it over, and then boom, you still have track. It's just this is gray colored instead of it being blue, but it's very similar, except it actually does have two singular rails instead of there being another rail that goes along the very edges that keeps the wheels like that. But since this train is such a thinner gauge, it fits just right in between. I'll demonstrate that right now if I can put it on there. Just like that. And these things move quite fast, actually. Allow me to demonstrate that. So here goes. So yeah, very quick little engine. That's why with these cars are so light that most of the time they just kind of go flying off the track. Now here are the other two pieces of this set. Here's the tanker. I have chosen not to weather these two cars yet because there's just simply very little to do with them that it just wouldn't be worth it. I might do some stuff with the log load, but I don't know. Here's the tanker car. Here it is. It's pretty cool. And these trains are very small. In fact, there's my Red Rocket engine just for comparison. That's how big a freight car is on top of it. It is very, very tiny. Very tiny. Just for scale on how big these things are, here's a AAA battery for scale right there. Oh, and surprisingly, it actually has molded under, it has stuff molded underneath it. It has little details underneath. That, I will admit, is very, very cool. I don't think, yeah, the freight cars all have detail molded underneath, which is pretty cool. You don't see that a lot on a lot of other things. And man, mind you, these trains are made by Jack's Pacific. Very good company, very great company. They've made a lot of cool little things. This is one of the cars that came with the big set I was talking about. In fact, it's the only car that came with the set. It's red and silver, pretty cool. And then the locomotive that came with it, if I can actually grab it, it's this blue engine. Now, as for what I'm going to do with it, I don't know. I mean, it kind of looks like the train from Unstoppable, the one that's, you know, going stop, going backwards. It looks just kind of like that one. Looks pretty cool. It also has a light. Albeit this one is not as bright as this one. Very, very bright in comparison to this one. But yeah, I might get more of those construction locomotives in the future and paint those ones up as Union Pacific locomotives, because this looks a whole lot nicer as a Union Pacific engine. Also, I wasn't able to fit the word Union Pacific all the way on the side, so I just put the word Union on each side, which I thought was a funny little touch, considering the trains have like fake names, like XPV is supposed to be an anagram for CVX, or CSX, not CVX. Frickin' CVS Pharmacy, man, no. I mean, it's like almost 1:30 as I'm recording this, 1:30 in the morning, so forgive me if my vocabulary is not of normal standards for speaking to people with, so yeah. And so, all in all, I'd say this is actually pretty cool, and considering that these trains are so common, you can go to your store and just pick up the train for $10, and then the car set for $10, just $20, and you get a full freaking set. That's a pretty gosh darn good deal right there. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.